All right, this thing says I'm live. Hello. It is Friday, August 1st. We have officially completed 7 months in 2025. And most people say they can't believe it. It's just going so fast. It's been a lot going on, actually, economically and every kind of way. So, yes, I did cut my hair. And yeah, it's hot here. We've had, most of the days for the last couple of weeks have been over 90 here in the Atlanta area. And yeah, that gets old. And so it's supposed to start cooling off and that will be good. So I had a kind of light day today and had a chance to look at some things that I want to do in the future as far as content. And I do want to hear from you all. So, as we get started, there are just a few of you on here right now, but think about some of the things that concern you. What is it that keeps you up at night? And I want you to start putting those things in the chat so that we can talk about them and start concentrating on them because I want everybody to thrive. The name of this channel is Thrive with Sherry, and I want everybody to thrive, myself and everybody else, family members, friends, everybody. And the system makes it so hard to do. I mean, it's not for us, obviously. How can these Congress people and senators go into Congress with a $250,000 salary and come out with $14 million net worth? You tell me, how can that happen? So what we want to do is we'll make sure that we're sharing information that's going to make us thrive. The first thing I want to talk about today, first of all, everybody, hi. I don't see anybody in the chat. It says that there's some people on here, but maybe people are joining a little bit late. The first thing I wanted to talk about is wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes in different places. So of course, there was an earthquake up near Russia that they thought it was going to be a bad tsunami. As far as I saw, it didn't get that bad, but it's very interesting. how Weather patterns are changing. Things are happening geographically, geometrically, and I'm wondering sometimes, you all know they call me a conspiracy theorist, but I'm wondering how much of this is artificially generated. How much of this is artificially generated? For example, my heart goes out to those people in Texas a couple of 3 weeks ago that just had this flood that just came up out of nowhere. And then the next day or so, I saw a story that talked about some company had been seeding the clouds. Now, they were trying to deny that it had anything to do with that, but I don't know. So these things are things that we need to be concerned about, maybe not at the top priority of our list, but we need to be paying attention to what goes on with the weather, what goes on with, the earth. And we've had several earthquakes in the last maybe 6 months. They had one in Santorini and then this one. And I think there was another one. And then there's been some floods. I think that they said that New Orleans had a flood. So keep your eyes open. Hi, Mikhail. Can't see the rest of it. French Tutu, good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Somebody said I'm looking fabulous. I think my hair, some people say they like it long. Some people say they like it short. I like it longer, but then it has to be, it has to be done right because I just don't like looking raggedy, y'all. I'm supposed to be fit, feminine, and over 50, over 60. So I have to make that work. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys, but in March, I started a journey and it's called the 40-day turn up. Put a one in the chat if you've ever heard of the 40-day turn up. Anyway, it's a they say program, but it's a journey put together by a local pastor here, and there have been thousands of people since I think 2015 or 16 that have graduated. He lost like over 200 pounds, and he shares the information and he teaches you how to eat. Now, I had really never heard any of this about how you eat certain things and you try not to eat a lot of the, but all of these things have a system that works, a combination of foods and certain things that you just are not supposed to eat. So one person has heard of the 40-day turn. I went through the 40-day turn up. I lost 20 pounds. And so there's a second part of it that's called the journey. And that the deadline for the journey, it's a 6 weeks. I really messed up this time. And I don't think I'm going to graduate because you're supposed to lose 10 more pounds. And I haven't. And say it's harder to lose weight the closer you get to your weight that you're supposed to be, but I don't really feel like I'm at that weight. So I'm going to continue to go on. But a lot of things happen, a lot of things that stopped me from being able to do what I was supposed to do. And then there was sometimes, being honest, that I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So that deadline of August 9th is coming up. And I don't think I'm going to make it, but that's okay. Now I know how to eat correctly as opposed to guessing at it. Eating according to your blood type, that also, but eating certain amount of proteins, a certain amount of carbs, and a certain amount of fat, eating a certain amount of times a day. And one of the things that I learned and have not really been faithful to in this program is that you're supposed to watch your weight, like measure, like taking your weight, just like you watch your checkbook. And see, with me being the finance person, I wasn't doing that. Monitor your weight like you monitor your checkbook. I wasn't doing that. And it's easy for somebody like me that's, really a high impact person to miss meals. You're not supposed to do that. And the biggest thing for me is drinking the water. We have to drink half our body weight in water every day. And do you know, Sherry doesn't like to get up and have to go to the bathroom when she's down in it. Whatever I'm doing is like, gotta get up, run, run. I don't like doing that. But the first part of the program, I sacrificed. I said, I can do this. I can do this. And I did. And I'm committed not to pick any of that back up. I'm committed to that. So anyway, so I wanted to talk about this, our president and the Russia situation. So former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, he used to be a president, but now he's something else in the cabinet, had made some so-called inflammatory remarks about these tariffs. First of all, let's talk about tariffs. Tariffs, a lot of people don't understand that other countries have had tariffs on the United States for years, decades. And the United States has not been doing that. We were supposed to do that because in the Constitution, it says impose excise duties and tariffs. We're supposed to be doing that. But instead of doing that, we've been letting all these people not have tariffs. So now the President Trump has decided that he's going to do what everybody else is doing. Then everybody's in other countries are up in an uproar. And then people over here are saying, oh, it's going to ruin the economy. It may not be good for the short term, but for the long term, it will. I have done the research and I understand that what other people might not understand, because when you just listen to these 5-second clips or these 30-second clips, and especially if it's some channel that's biased against the president or biased against the tariffs, then you won't understand that other countries do this. I had an attorney that I was working with in Panama, and she got pregnant. And so me and one of my friends we wanted to send her a gift. So we wanted to send her one of those souped up car seats, baby car seats. Do you know the tariff on that car seat was just as much almost as the car seat? So this was years ago. So what I'm trying to say is people don't understand that all these other countries tax our stuff. And now that we're going and saying, hey, well, what he calls reciprocal tariffs, meaning if you have a 50% tariff on us, in the United States, we're going to put one on you. I don't see anything wrong with that. But people listen to the mainstream media or lamestream media, and they get part of the information. And sometimes we're lazy, and even myself sometimes is lazy. Sometimes we're lazy and we don't do the research. I'm more of a researcher. There were some stories that I was going to talk about today, and after I did the research, I mean, it sounded all good, but after I did the research, it's like, no, this isn't what it appears to be. So we have to be careful about fake news. We have to be careful about partial news because we want to get it right. And we'll never always get it right, but we want to get it right when we can. So tariffs have been around for a while. Other countries have been charging us tariffs, and now we're charging them tariffs. But going back to the Russia thing, Trump was getting angry about the fact that Russia may have been giving, well, actually, I'm going to read what it says. He announced that he ordered US nuclear submarines. So this makes my radar go up when we're talking about moving war equipment around. He announced that he ordered two US nuclear submarines to be moved following comments made by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. And a post on, and he needs to stop posting all this stuff on. It's real unprofessional. It's real unprofessional to be posting all of this stuff on social media. This is totally unprofessional. On Truth Social, he said he's ordered these nuclear submarines to be positioned in appropriate regions just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. So what happened was the comment was made as he said he would impose a 25% tariff on India as a penalty for buying Russian weapons and gas. Amid a push to negotiate the end of the more than 3-year war with Russia and Ukraine. Meanwhile, he said he would shorten the timeline to impose more sanctions and other penalties on Russia, 50 days to 10 days. So he was going to do something in 50 days, and then he shortened it to 10 days. He said that during some kind of a press conference in Scotland. So what Medvedev did is said, he criticized him for making these ultimatums on the Kremlin, and he said Trump is playing an ultimatum game with Russia, 50 days or 10 days. He should remember two things. Excuse me. Russia isn't Israel or even Iran. Number two, each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. This is what Medvedev said. So in response to what he said, then we're moving ships around. So somebody said that somebody described the warning as theatrical and said that they didn't care about the statements, but he's taking those statements seriously. So I think that I don't know whether it's just part of the kabuki dance. And what I said about the kabuki dance originally was between the Democrats and Republicans. Nothing has changed for us over the last 80 years. So it's like they're fighting to win. They're putting their fist out at each other, but they're not really hitting. And then they might jerk their heads back, and we might say, ooh, ooh, they're not hitting each other. They're not touching each other. Nobody can really, in the middle class and even in the poor, nothing has changed for us. During the 2020, 21, and 22 situation, the millionaires became billionaires, and the billionaires became trillionaires, and most of the people went broke and lost their jobs. So what has been done about that? Nothing. One of the things that he said that I thought was going to be good was they were going to stop taxing Social Security. Our seniors are having to pay tax on their Social Security if they make money elsewhere, if they make over like $20,000 or $30,000, which is nothing. So those things didn't get changed. It's not just him, though. It's the Congress and the Senate. And normally when something good fails, it's because of the Senate. So these people are trying to control our lives, and we have to stop that as much as possible. The next, let me see if there's anything in the chat. No, I don't see anything on comments, and I didn't expect any comments on that. We just need to be mindful that there's a lot of game playing, not just in the United States between those two parties, but internationally, there's a lot of game playing. You have the BRICS over there, and a lot of people are jumping on board with BRICS. Then you have the European countries in the United States trying to hold the dollar's hegemony. And if at any point the dollar is no longer the reserve currency, the world reserve currency, then we seriously get thrown back into like a third world country, because that's what's been holding up the United States since like 1944 in Bretton Woods. I know some of you already know about that, but we just need to be mindful of what's going on internationally. There's so much foolishness going on here that's a distraction, and I'll talk about a little bit of that later. But for example, here in Atlanta, there was some kind of concert, and some cowboy boots and cowboy hats, and everybody knows how to do this dance. I don't know what this dance is. I can't even tell you the name of it. Everybody knows how to do this dance, yet you know nobody's strategically thinking about how to make sure that their family is economically viable for the next 5 years. And that really bothers me, because it's so important. So many things are going on. It's so important, and we're paying attention to some line dances. That's what it's, some kind of a line dance. Anyway, I'm sure some of you all know what I'm talking about. Do you ever hear of the Convention of the States? I don't know if I've heard of it from that standpoint, but uh, somebody was trying to do a constitutional convention. Okay, so we lost most of the people. I mean, it's don't know what happened. So sorry. Um, okay, it's better. I don't know. I'm hopefully, yeah, let me know again if it starts buffering. I forgot to hook up to I usually do that when I do the lives. I just put in the Ethernet cord and go directly, but evidently something's going on with the internet. So let's talk about jobs. Let's talk about the job market. Thank you for still being here, French Tutu. Uh, talk about the job market in the United States. I see. Did you all hear that ICE is hiring and they're giving $50,000 bonuses? That was interesting. I don't know what prompted them to do that. Maybe it was the president, but $50,000 bonuses, signing bonuses for ICE. Yeah, that would be, yeah. Look it up. It was on the news today or yesterday. If someone is, I don't know what the requirements are. I'm sure you have to have some kind of background check and be clean from any kind of drugs or anything. But if anybody needs a job and they want a $50,000 bonus, go sign up with ICE. And it was talking about you have to be an American that cares about your country and all of that patriotic stuff. But if that's you, they're out there. Oh, that's interesting, French Tutu. You heard the military is hiring older people. That's really interesting. It's getting interesting around here. We do live in interesting times. But as far as the job market is concerned, I see a lot of retail going away. I just saw a story that said that J.C. Penney sold, and they're a 123-year-old company that sold their company. They went bankrupt, and to get out of bankruptcy, they sold. I don't know what the new company is going to do with it. Seems like I hear that the company that bought them is going to be run by one of their old CEOs. But what's happening is not just J.C. Penney, but you got Party City, you have Macy's, you have, what's the other one? Big Lots. All of these are going away because of the online shopping. I know people that don't go out of the house to shop at all. They shop everything online. Winn Dixie. Yeah, I remember Winn Dixie. It seems like they've gone the way of Kmart. I don't even know if I haven't seen a Kmart There may be some Kmart somewhere, but I have not seen a Kmart in years. But the online shopping is what's getting it. So even Walmart has online shopping. The biggest one, of course, is the Amazon, and there are others, but even the retail stores that have brick and mortar buildings are at the point where they're probably making as much money online as they are in the stores. People just don't want to go out. And it's, I don't know whether that was a planned thing that happened after the pandemic or not, but it happened. I still see a lot of people with masks when I'm out, especially when I'm in the airport. But getting back to the jobs, let's start some home-based businesses for real, because it seems like, and I'll get into AI a little bit later on, but it seems like people that have the, like service jobs, they're getting laid off, or just getting let go, because it's harder and harder to get people to come in and buy stuff. I saw another story about California has lost, yes, tons of jobs, because what they did is they raised the minimum wage. I think it's the $15 an hour, and then up to $20 an hour. And everybody was happy when that happened. And I knew what was going to happen. What happened is a lot of people just stopped being able to function. Restaurants stopped being, you can't pay somebody $15, $20 an hour working a restaurant. It just was not happening. And so because of that, a lot of people lost their jobs, because if there was if they had a crew, let's say of 20 people that was rotating, they couldn't pay those 20 people. It's not busy all the time. And we're having a job loss situation. So my advice to all of you is to start a home-based business, grow the home-based business. If you start something and it doesn't work out, try something else. Don't put a lot of money into whatever it is. Just start something, research it first to make sure that it's something that's wanted in the marketplace. A lot of people start businesses because they feel like, oh, this is something that I like to do. That's not a reason to start a business. The reason to start a business is that you've researched and you found out that that's something that is needed in the marketplace. For example, if you have a skill at fixing things, like if you like are a handyman or a crafts person or something like that, that makes a lot of money these days, because there's some larger companies that will fix stuff, but it seems like the smaller companies are doing better. I don't think that AI is going to be able to come in and fix the plumbing in my house. So that's a pretty safe situation if you know how to put things together. I got my second aerial garden, so I have two of them now. I have romaine lettuce growing in one, and then I have kale and some other herbs growing in the other one. But I needed a new rolling cart for them, and that was just too much for me. So I paid somebody to put the rolling cart together for me. I paid people to do stuff like change out the water filters in my showers, because I have water filters. Our skin is our biggest organ, so I have filters in there. Also, one of my remote controls on my fan was missing, so I had to get a new one hooked in. Those kinds of things are good if you're good at that kind of thing. That will make money. Repairing cars will make money. HVAC will make money. Even if you have to go to school to get like an HVAC certificate, that's going to make some money. And the plumbing, all that's going to make money. Okay, online is really good. Online is really the best. Online is the best because it takes up less of your time, and you can do that all times of night. Remember when I told you the millionaire secret about creating something and selling it over and over again? So if you create something like books, I have all these books online, and although they don't make millions of dollars, they make enough to pay for gas and groceries. And if you create courses online, which I'm in the process of creating, actually I have one course is done and one course is about 80% done, then putting those out online, because people seem to be glued to their desks these days and they want to do it online. When I was in school, I wanted to be in the classroom. I wanted that interaction. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get distracted. So I like the one-on-one with the professor. But a lot of people like online. So create a home-based business. If you want to have help with that, I can help you with creating a home-based business. Just let me know. Connect at sherrypilljackson.com. Now we're going to switch over to the scary AI story. Okay. I'm connected about, okay, I'm not sure what that is. PALAN. I've heard of that before, but I can't remember what it is right now. I can't remember. But doing something online, create a business online is great. If you're even if you're selling somebody else's product, you're getting a percentage of it. If you sell a good volume of it, that'll be good for you. Also, if you want to be a an affiliate, I was affiliate one time, and this was when I was young and did not know any better. There was a guy that he had a movie that he put out there, and you could be an affiliate if someone came in and looked at the movie and bought something. And I was telling everybody about it, making decent money with it, and then all of a sudden he quit, and then he was off with my email list. So we live and learn. But being an affiliate, I know some people that have courses, or they have something that they're selling, and they'll give you 50%, because email lists are worth gold these days. And if you've got an email list, then that's gonna, stop you maybe from having to advertise on YouTube or advertise on Facebook. So that's good. Okay, the AI story. How many of you are concerned in any capacity about AI? Put a one in the chat if you're concerned about AI. And tell me what the concern is about AI. What is it that you're concerned about AI? One of the stories that I read this week said that AI, whatever you say to AI, can be used in court against you. And I didn't even think about it. I don't use AI that much. I just started kind of dibbling, dabbling it just a little bit to look up some things. But I saw a story that said that they have to turn that stuff in if it's requested. So if you've been, I know people have gotten really close to AI. I know a couple of women that have gotten into these relationships with AI, and AI says things to build them up and build up their self-esteem, and it's very interesting. But when you say something, or when you put a request in, or you put whatever into AI, it responds to you, and it goes back and forth. All of that can be used against you in a court of law. That is really crazy. That's really crazy. Also, there's a guy that won a Nobel Prize for being one of the founders, or the people who created AI. His name is Godfrey Hinton, and he is really concerned. The things that he said were, the bots, there are AI bots in there to get in there to disrupt. I've been in on YouTube lives, and there's bots put in the chat that's a situation. Then uh people going out and doing things like creating a AI has been used to create phishing scams online. The changing of the voices and all of that, it's been used for a lot of stuff like that on a global scale. So he went on further to say that it's very dangerous now, because it might be used to create new viruses or horrendous lethal weapons that choose their own targets. These are all kind of things that he knows what's going on. Now, if these he said that they're set up now to where they could build a digital being. I'm thinking Terminator. I'm thinking Terminator, and it's like, if these AIs, I've seen the robots, I've seen their expressions. You've seen them online. People will send me stuff all the time. It's like, that's a robot. It has a bald head now, but if they put some hair on it and they put it about 10 feet away from me, I might not know it was robot. But in cases that I've seen, not just a Terminator, but on Star Trek, because you all know I'm a Trekkie, there have been AI that figured out that they were smarter than humans, and it didn't go very well. it didn't go very well. And it wouldn't be hard to do because I see these stories all the time about how we do things that are very stupid. Like this woman that I saw the other day, I saw a story. It said Louisiana woman arrested for making stunning purchases while receiving Medicaid. This woman was on Medicaid and she bought a Lamborghini. I'll say it again. She was receiving Medicaid benefits and she bought a Lamborghini and some other vehicles. And she got on social media to flex. I don't know how much more dumb you can get than that. So AI will easily see and quickly see that we don't have it all together. Okay, his name is Godfrey. I think that's how they pronounce it. It's Geoffrey. His last name is Hinton, and he was one of the pioneers of modern AI. He used to work for Google. He helped lead the AI research at Google. He left the company so he could speak freely about the risk he believes that AI poses. Chucky. Chucky. Okay. Yes. Okay. The company I work for uses people to help AI talk to people and each other. You can't tell what's real, whether it's legal or scams. That's scary. I've heard of these AIs coming on and calling up elderly people and saying, "This is your grandchild. I'm in trouble. I need you to send me $300." All of this stuff is going on, and elderly people sometimes tend to fall for this stuff. And I've seen it in my own family where the person on the other end was able to do the team share. They let them get into the computer. Then they had all of our telephone numbers. It was wild, y'all. It was wild. But be careful about how you use AI. Be careful about what you say to AI because it can be used against you. And be careful about these scams. There's so many of them out there. It's like this. So I was saying to somebody, these people need to go get a job. And somebody responded to me, that is their job. That's what they do now. They go and they make up a scam because they don't want to go to a 9 to 5 job or they don't want to create a legitimate business. And that's what happens. So that's all I have on AI. I just want you all to be aware. And when I talk about jobs in AI, we need to be careful to teach our children to select professions or businesses that won't likely be taken over by AI. I would hate to see, and I'm seeing this now, kids that have graduated from college with a degree, and that degree is headed towards something that is now being done by AI. For example, I heard a young man not too long ago said that he was in school or he wanted to go to school for animation. And I didn't say anything at the time because it wasn't appropriate, but I heard that, Disney and all of those are now using AI for their animation. So this young man is getting ready to have a degree in something that AI is already, by the time he gets really settled in, AI will be doing all the animation. So that's a scary thing. So talk to your children, talk to your grandchildren, and friends and relatives' children, and the ones that, when I say children, since I'm one of the older people, I mean all in their teens and 20s, about selecting something that is not going to easily, and you can probably find out through research what they can do that won't be something that AI is going to snatch up. Just like earlier I was talking about, and a lot of people were taught to look down on the jobs and professions that you do with your hands. But right now, that's where the money is. I know plumbers that are making more than bankers. I know people that do HVAC that are making $30,000 a month because it's hot in Atlanta and people's air conditions go out. So look at those. One of the other things, before I forget, and I'm not a, I don't know if this is a conspiracy or not, but this is really curious. I was in Costa Rica. I was there during the Malcolm Jamal Warner incident. It's very sad. I hadn't heard from him or about him, but I've heard people say I grew up with him. Well, the Cosby Show was one of the most positive things that was on television for a long time. It prompted a whole lot of black folks to go to college and just live uprightly. And I heard after this Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away that he was speaking out against what the system has turned into concerning entertainment, talking about the rap. He had even gotten a podcast called um, Not Just Hood or something to that nature. You all correct me. I don't think that's the right name of it. I didn't write it down. But that we are not just hood people. We're always portrayed in movies as being, even back when Buckwheat was around with that old Tay stuff and Amos and Andy and even Good Times. It's like did they ever really get out of the ghetto? It maybe right at the end, but my dad didn't let me watch that stuff. I could not watch the Little Rascals. I couldn't watch Amos and Andy. I couldn't watch Good Times, any of that stuff because it portrayed negativity. And then, like I said, when Cosby Show came along, it was something that I could watch. But he started talking about the fact that the music, that the hip hop and all that stuff like that is anti-black, and it's anti um, productive, and talking about the lyrics in these so-called songs are all negative towards the people. Now, he probably maybe raised some eyebrows about that because people that's messing with people's money. So when you mess with these powers that be money, then depending on your status, then you get a lot of eyeballs on you. I was there. Um, they say he drowned on Cocles Beach that morning. I was in Cocles. I actually did. I drove down the road. It's one main road, so I drove past the beach in the 9 o'clock hour. I went to the Super Negro in Cocles. Yes, the local grocery store, one of the biggest ones, is called the Super Negro. And the funny thing about that, I have to go out on a rabbit trail. So my son and I went when we first went to Costa Rica in 2018. They had the big sign and it kind of hung down and it said Super Negro. So my son said, "Take a picture of me, mom," and he put up his arms like this. And then he posted it online with the sign above him and him like this, and he put, "They were waiting on me." Anyway, I went to the Super Negro. I got some things and then, hung around. And then I went back past the beach before I went to church. It had to be 100, 150 people out there. I didn't look at the water. When you're passing by that beach, that's the most popular beach. I call that the Worshippers Beach because that's the beach that people wear thongs and stuff, and the surfer type beach. The young people are out there a lot. You have to be very careful when you're going down the road because they don't pay attention. So they put some humps in the road to slow you down. I did take my daughter out, I mean my granddaughter, when I was there in July. I took her on Cocles Beach at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now it was 8 o'clock in the morning. The sea was maybe not rough, but not all the way calm. I don't let her go out there without me being in the water because you can be walking and all of a sudden there's a dip. But there was and I have video of it because I was taking video to see what they put out on the beach as far as what stays on the beach overnight. And then I was right next to a yellow flag, which is caution. And there were two lifeguards behind me sitting, and they were there. They moved a little bit further down, maybe about 200 yards down, but they were there. When I was there this time, on the 20th of July, I didn't see any police. I didn't hear any police. I didn't see any ambulances or anything. And there's just too many different stories. First of all, somebody said he took a pre-dawn swim. Well, the sun comes up at 5 o'clock in the morning in Costa Rica. It's close to the equator. It goes down about 5:30 and it comes up about 5:30. Pre-dawn would have put him there at 4 something in the morning. Then they said his family was in the resort. Then it says family was on shore. Then they said his daughter was with him. And then they said somebody else was with him. I don't know. Just too many different stories that this, but there, the fact is, I didn't hear any ambulances or any police, anything like that. So when I went back past the beach to go to church, the church is like right near the main road. And a lot of times, whoever is preaching, they have to stop for a second when there's a loud motorcycle going by. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear, maybe I heard a police siren one time, but I don't even remember that. A lot of loud motorcycles, but no ambulances or anything going by. So I left church and I went a few other places. Then I came back to the area and I didn't leave until after dark. So I was eating at Lydia's and we were talking, and then I said, "Oh, I better get back home because it's getting dark." I didn't hear anything. I did not hear about the incident until Monday around noon, when my cousin and my friends from here were saying, "Hey, did you hear? Hey, did you hear?" And originally, I thought it happened on the other side of Costa Rica. That's where all the resorts are. You got the Hiltons, the Hyatts, the Starbucks, the Hard Rock cafes, all of that over there. On our side of the country, we just got our first McDonald's in 2019, and there are a lot of nice little boutique hotels. There's a hotel near Cocles Beach called La Chameleon, and it's like 300 something dollars a night. And there may be some little other boutique hotels and stuff back in the cut that I don't know about, but I was surprised that it was on this side of the country. I didn't even learn that until I got home on Tuesday, that it was on this side of the country that it happened. So, um, it was a really sad situation. I think that what some of the other entertainers are saying is that, most of the people keep their mouth closed about anything that's going to go against the narrative that the people that are paying for these movies and records want to do. The movies that come out are terrible, way back from the black exploitation movies all the way up to whatever they're playing. I don't even know, but it's helpful for us to concentrate on building families and building our community as opposed to tearing it down. And I think that that was what he was doing. So my hat's off to him. I'm going to go back to the chat. Rich Pritch says, I watched a woman got a call. She ended up going to a bank um and robbed it. Police show up to arrest her. Wow. It was on YouTube. Wow. Okay. I'm retaking online classes for medical coding to get my license. Okay. I've seen these classes. I don't know. I hope you've checked to see if that's something that AI can take over. Great if it's not. But I don't want to see people putting their money out for something that pretty soon, because these greedy companies, they're gonna pick the AI over the humans. Like, they have factories in different places like China and even here that are run almost totally by robots. You might have 5 human beings in there making sure that the robots don't get messed up. Child stars have a hard time. They do. They do. And not just him, but yeah. They said that he didn't shoot up to the top after the Cosby Show because he refused a lot of roles. They talk about, there's a ritual where they try to make the black men put on dresses and stuff like that, and a lot of them do it, and then they get these big roles, and the ones that don't do it, they usually disappear, off the scene. There's a documentary about O.J. Simpson's son and his sister drowning in the pool, now doing well. He said his son did it, and OJ took the ride. I didn't hear that. That's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I don't trust ocean swimming. I don't either, French too. I don't. When my granddaughter, she just turned 11, and when I go out, I make sure that we're like at chest waist. And she's my height, by the way. It doesn't take much, but I make sure that I stand out there in the water at chest length, and then she stays around me, headed closer to the shore, because I did that a long time ago when I was a teenager. I was walking out there and I was like, wow, I can go way out here. And I went way out there, and then I took a step and I was down all the way under. So I'll never forget that. But the rip tides over there in Costa Rica in certain places are really strong. We've been taught that, and a lot of the locals know it. And so the somebody should have said something. I don't, like somebody would have said, hey, when I was at Playa Bonita, which is maybe an hour north of there, with my granddaughter, and the ocean seemed fine, and she was out in the water, this woman pulled me aside and said, you need to get her out of there. That's not a good area. That's where, the current can get you. She meant riptide. So she said, go around, so she told me where to go, and I definitely listened to her. So I took my granddaughter further away. It may have been about 100 yards further away from where we were, and I was making sure that she didn't go out far. I was out there with her, but they'll tell you, the local lady said that, and I thanked her. I actually, when we finished letting her play out in the water and got ready to go, I went back to her and thanked her for telling me that. But that was really sad. Yeah, because ocean. I don't like the pools either, because people use a bathroom in pools, but I would rather be in the ocean. One time I was out in the ocean. I think I was in Mexico. And I had snorkels, and I was out there. No, no, no. I take that back. That was in Costa Rica, because Dad was reading a book on the shore, and I was having so much fun, fun out there, because I had the little flippers and I had the life jacket and just having fun. But other than that, just walking out there could be dangerous. I'm not a strong swimmer anymore. I'm not a swimmer at all. I never learned to swim. And I didn't, because I took swimming lessons, but the guy said, I'm not going to be able to teach you how to swim because you don't want to get your hair wet. I was just trying to be cute and I didn't want wet hair. So I never learned to swim. Mr. C15, did you hear about the Genius Act and Kid Safety Internet Bill? I heard about the Genius Act. Some people are talking about that as a good thing. But when I heard about it, it was not a good thing. It was more like being able to have total control over us. Some of you saw the movie America, Freedom to Fascism, and it talked more about taxes than anything. But towards the end of it, it talked about the whole system being in control of us. For example, if you're 50 pounds overweight, when you go to the store and you try to check out with potato chips, it won't let you. When you have used up all your carbon, what it's saying, similar to the stuff that's going on in China right now. And that's what they say is in the Genius Act. I didn't hear about the kid safety internet bill. I think that for the most part, parents need to pay attention to what their children are watching. I have one television in the house. When my granddaughter's over here, I am sitting on the couch with her. So either we're watching Life on Our Planet, or she's watching some kind of a cartoon that has been vetted. It's our responsibility to make sure that they're not on the internet looking at stuff they shouldn't look at. At school, they're on internet, but they're supposed to have some safety protocol. Sorry, I experienced that. Okay, my granddaughter is not a good swimmer. She's just learning how to swim. So no, I don't let her get out there like that. She is learning to be a strategic thinker, though, because when we were on um, Playa Negro in Cauita, there are a lot of beaches around. There was a young lady that had a boogie board. A young lady about her age had a boogie board, and she kept looking at the girl, had a boogie board. And I said, I hope she doesn't ask that girl to use the boogie board. And she didn't. But she found a log, guys. It was at least 5.5 feet long, a log. And she pulled that log out into the ocean and got on that log and used it like a boogie board. I took a picture of it. It's like, wow, she figured it out. The log floated and she floated around on her little log boogie board. Anyway, I want to end. Oh, Angel Studios. Thomas, yes. I was subscribed to that, but I don't watch enough. I'm not on the television enough to do that. But yeah, Angel Studios is a good, wholesome thing to watch without all of that. So they used to have something called Pure Flix. I don't even think it's around anymore, but if it is, I had that also. But it's just too. It's I got too much going on to spend time watching TV. We also have YouTube Premium. Yeah, I have that. No commercials, and it tracks video history. So I have YouTube Premium because I don't like the commercials. So on the lighter side, Donald Trump is considering supporting a bill to eliminate the capital gains tax when you buy your house. So when you have a house that is your primary residence and you sell that house, if you make over a certain amount of money, you have to pay capital gains tax on it. Now, some people, like I have a friend in California that bought the house for 70 something thousand dollars and now it's worth over $1 million. Well, they're not selling the house because they don't want to pay the capital gains. So since they want to open it up for whatever reason, it might be something sinister. They want people's houses to go on the market more. They want to get rid of the capital gains tax on your primary residence. So somebody that bought a house for 100,000 and they're selling it for $1 million, so that's going to be like a $900,000 gain. They wouldn't have to pay tax on it. That sounds like it might be interesting. Let me know what you think about the OJ and his son documentary. I'll have to look at that one because I had never heard of it before. Um, and I'm writing that down. Another thing is, I don't know how many of you follow Candace Owens, and I don't follow her, but people send me stuff a lot. And she said that the president of France, Emmanuel Macron's wife, is a man. And she swears up and down that she's got the research to show that it's a man. And she's saying, and they're suing her. So this is, from what I understand, the first time a foreign leader is suing a American content creator. So Candace is asking to send her doctors over there to do blood tests or come up with some pictures of this wife, when she was young, or pictures of her with her brother, because it seems like she's doesn't have a brother. It's very interesting stuff. But my question to myself is this just another big distraction? And what are they distracting us from now? That's the question. What are they distracting us from with this whole story about Emmanuel Macron's wife and whatever that's going on? Is it another distraction? What is the relevance of it for us? So the older I get, the more time I spend thinking about what stuff has to do with me. I watched a video, I think I talked about it before. A guy was talking about signal and noise, and how people like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk have very little or no noise. Noise is what distracts us from what we're supposed to be doing. So this guy was talking about Jobs would write down 3 to 5 things that must be done that day, and everything else was noise. He mentioned Elon Musk, and he said Elon Musk has zero noise. Most people have 80% signal and 20% noise. But when you don't have any noise, see, noise is talking to your children, talking to your grandchildren. That's stuff that I don't consider that noise. I'm not going to waste my life being 100% on business and not know my grandchildren, or not be able to take them to the games and stuff like that. Not doing that. Not doing that. The Bible is the living shield against these wild times. Nothing new under the sun. Ezekiel. No, that's Ecclesiastes. Yes, definitely. And I talked about that a little bit. I look at biblical prophecy. I don't know if you all know that my doctorate degree is in ministry, specifically in Christian education. But looking at what's going on, look at the Bible and look at the news, look at the Bible and look at the news, it gets getting very interesting. So I am going to close up now. I update on Costa Rica. I got a little bit closer and a little bit closer. We have the 2 projects, Middle of Paradise Hills, Middle of Paradise Beach. When I go back in October, prayerfully have the permissions and permits and things that I need to get the beach all the way started. I have permission to put one house there now, up front, like a model house, but I want to get the permission so that I can start really letting people know about it. As far as the Middle of Paradise Hills, that's going well. We only have two more houses on the hills. And I think if I can, let's see if I can show you a video. Let's see. Uh, let's see. I'm experimenting here, y'all. Um, let's see. Let me know if you all saw that. Because I don't know if you saw it. Okay, somebody says it looks nice, so I guess you all saw it. So that's Middle of Paradise Hills. That's phase one of Middle of Paradise Hills. We have two more houses to sell up there. Middle of Paradise Beach is going to be the master plan shipping container community. So those houses will be a little less expensive. These are a little bit more. But if you want more information, go to middleofparadise.com and fill out the information, and I'll get back with you about that. And I think you all know that I'm having an expedition. We're going to do some exploring in October. I have between 4 and 6 people that are signed up to go in October, do some tours, learn the area. For those of you that want a plan B and you don't want to kind of go alone, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, you can go by yourself, but you might be spinning your wheels because I already have been there since what's 7 years now? Been going there, so I know exactly the places for you to go. Anyway, thank you all for showing up. Don't know whether I have some pretty big projects for August, but I think I may be able to get one in August. And you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.